What's up, YouTube? Thomas L here with Avengers Endgame opening this week. Since we wouldn't have Marvel thanks to Stan Lee, I decided to do my top 10 favorite Stan Lee movie cameos, or I should say Marvel cameos. Like, these are only going to be his cameos in Marvel films, so I'm not really going to add his cameos in Mallrats or Yoga Hosers or anything, which his cameos in those were great, but these are just for Marvel films, so. That being said, here is. Coming in at number 10 will be his cameo in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I really loved his cameo in this. I mean, here, Lee, appears as a pedestrian who car ends up getting shrunk by a wasp, and he pretty much sploots out the line of, well, the 60s were fun, but now I'm paying for it. That was a terrible Stan Lee impersonation, by the way. But anyway, that line was really hysterical, and the cameo scene was pretty funny too. I really liked that cameo scene. And he also had a cameo in the first Ant-Man, which was okay, but I kind of like his cameo in Ant-Man and the Wasp a lot more. And yeah, really fun cameo right there. Coming in at number 9 is Spider-Man: Homecoming. Now, I really liked his cameo in this one. Really, his cameo in all the Spider-Man movies were pretty good. But I really loved his Homecoming cameo, where he goes, "Don't make me come down and get you, punk." That's actually now a meme, believe it or not. Like, someone actually made that as a meme. Anyway, I thought that scene was pretty funny, and yeah, I really dug that cameo. I mean, Stanley, it makes sense that Stanley pretty much had a cameo in all the Spider-Man films. Still not sure if he has a cameo Far From Home, to be honest, yeah. But he had a cameo in pretty much all the Spider-Man films, and makes sense because Spider-Man was actually his favorite hero, and also Spider-Man takes place in New York City, and Stan Lee is from here, so there's that as well. Anyway, it's definitely a really good, fun cameo right there. Coming in at number 8 is Captain America: Winter Soldier. Now here, Stan Lee plays a security guard who at the Smithsonian institution, and he ends up finding out that Captain America stole his own World War II uniform from the exhibit, and he spouts out the line, "Oh man, I am so fired." Really good line right there. And it was a good cameo. Like, I thought Stanley's cameo in this was just terrific. It was pretty cool seeing him as a security guard. And yeah, really amazing cameo. This is actually one of my favorite parts of Winter Soldier. And yeah, I mean, definitely a really good cameo there. Alright, now my number 7 favorite is is a modern, recent one, but that will be Captain Marvel. His cameo in there pretty much made Kevin Smith cry, because in the film in Captain Marvel, Stan Lee is actually reading a script from the movie Mallrats, which was directed by Kevin Smith. So, like, that scene really touched Kevin Smith a lot, and I also liked his cameo in Mallrats. I mean, if I was to do my top 10 favorite Stan Lee cameos in anything, Mallrats will definitely be in this list. But anyway. And of course, during the scene, he actually did he pretty much did like a line from his line from Mallrats, which I thought was pretty cool. Then when Brie Larson saw that was Stan Lee, she actually smiled to the camera. That looked like that seriously seemed like a nice little tribute to Stan Lee. Then, like, towards the beginning, before the movie started, they had like that Stan Lee Marvel thing, which I thought was great class. I mean, that opening of Captain Marvel will make you cry with that right there. But yeah, really great cameo by Stan Lee. I mean, yeah, definitely a really good one. Alright, my number 6 favorite is another Spider-Man movie, and that will be Amazing Spider-Man. This is the scene where Peter Parker and the Lizard are fighting in a library, and Stanley is like a librarian, and while the Lizard and Spider-Man are fighting, he's just like listening to music, and pretty much he doesn't even hear what's going on. That scene really cracked me up. I really love that scene right there. And like I said, his best cameos have been in the Spider-Man movies, from Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2. Lately, he had a cameo in the animated Spider-Man, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, like I said, his favorite comic book is his favorite comic book character is Spider-Man. So it'll make sense for him to have cameos in the Spider-Man films. And Amazing Spider-Man is definitely one of his better ones as well. So coming in at number 5 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, in this, Lee actually appears as an astronaut who tells the story to the Watchers, and he's mentioning his stint as a delivery man in Civil War, which I'm going to talk about later on. And he also ends up appearing again in a post-credit scene where the Watchers leave, and because they're like tired of his stories as he quotes to them that they are his only ride back to Earth, and so like the Watchers along with Ego they of course were also co-created by Stan Lee. I mean, I really love that end credit scene in Volume 2. That was a really good credit scene. And Stan Lee's cameo in this was really funny. I mean, he also had a cameo in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, where Groot and Rocket are looking out, and they spot Stan Lee in like an astronaut helmet. I really loved his cameo in this. It's a really funny one, and yeah, I mean, definitely a really good Stan Lee cameo right there. Alright, my number 4 favorite will be The Avengers. Now, most people probably have this at their number 1 favorite, or maybe their number 2 or whatever. But I'm actually adding it as number 4. Now, I could have gone with his cameos in the other Avengers movies, like Avengers: Infinity War, Avengers: Age of Ultron. But I really liked his cameo in the first Avengers, where he's like interview on TV about the Avengers saving Manhattan, and Stanley responds with "Superheroes in New York, give me a break," and then he returns to his game of chess. I mean, that's a really funny cameo right there because of course Stanley's the man who created these characters. So seeing him talk about superheroes in Manhattan is pretty funny to hear. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a big major cameo, nothing like that, but I still thought it was a pretty funny scene right there. And yeah, definitely a really good cameo. And also, I'm curious to see what his cameo in Endgame is going to be. I mean, I don't know what the cameo is, but it should be something pretty special. Now, my number 3 favorite would be his cameo in the first Iron Man, where he's dressed up like Hugh Hefner. I love this scene because I always say that Stan Lee is like the Hugh Hefner of comic books. Kind of like how Hugh Hefner founded Playboy. Pretty much Stan Lee was responsible for Marvel. So that's why I always call Stan Lee the Hugh Hefner of comic books. And this cameo was pretty funny there. I mean, in it, Tony Stark actually mistakes Lee for Hugh Hefner because it was like at a party of sorts, and it's a really funny cameo. I mean, he of course had 2 females that look similar to Playboy bunnies. I really loved his cameo in the first Iron Man. He also had cameos in Iron Man 2 and 3, but I admit his cameo in the first Iron Man is the best. Alright, my number 2 favorite is Captain America Civil War, where, of course, Stan Lee is the delivery guy who goes up to Tony Stark's mansion, or not Tony Stark's mansion, but the Avengers headquarters, and he says, delivery got a package for Tony Stank. Then Don Cheadle, of course, replies with, "Yeah, this is Tony Stank." That's one of my favorite scenes in Civil War. There was so many good stuff in Civil War, but my favorite scene has got to be the Stanley cameo in that. It's a really funny cameo. And of course, Stanley is handing Tony Stark is delivering the that not pager that phone that cell phone thing. Yeah, I really definitely love this cameo in this, and it's a really good one. Alright, now my number one favorite Stanley cameo. What's better than all those? My number one favorite will be his cameo as a stripper DJ in Deadpool. Now, I love this cameo. I mean, I love the line that he used in this. Stanley used a line quoted, "Give it up." No, the line he put was, "You can't buy love, but you can rent it for 3 minutes." Boy, next time I go to a Jammers club, I gotta remember to use that line. Anyway, I mean, Stanley as a DJ, how awesome is that? I think it's pretty much the best cameo he's ever given. It's a really cool cameo. And he didn't really have a cameo in Deadpool 2, but there was like a Deadpool 2 special that featured Stanley in it. But my biggest disappointment was in Deadpool 2 that we didn't really have a Stanley cameo. That's my major disappointment for the sequel. But Stanley's cameo in the first film is definitely the best. I mean, who knew that Stanley could play a DJ that well? I mean, I don't know if Stanley ever had a DJ experience before, but he did that pretty well. And yeah, his cameo is definitely the best here. And I love Deadpool as well. So Deadpool, everything about Deadpool was just perfect. You know, from the Stan Lee cameo to the jokes in it. Such an awesome movie, and definitely one of my favorite parts is Stan Lee's cameo. I mean, really good one. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me do the quick rundown. Number 10, Ant-Man and the Wasp. 9, Spider-Man Homecoming. 8, Captain America Winter Soldier. 7, Captain Marvel. 6, The Amazing Spider-Man. 5, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. 4, The Avengers. 3, Iron Man. 2, Captain America Civil War. 1, Deadpool. Now, he has had cameos in other stuff before. Of course, he had cameos in the Thor movies. He had a cameo in the first Avenger. He also had cameos on TV shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Runaways. I also liked his cameo in Doctor Strange. That was a good one. His cameo in Black Panther was pretty decent. Boy. Oh man, when I see Stanley in Endgame, I'm gonna need some tissues because that's gonna be a real touching moment, you see. Anyway, let me lead you guys. What are some of your favorite Stanley movie cameos? Or I should say, what's your favorite Stanley Marvel cameos? I meant to say. Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This here is Thomas Ellis signing off.